Hello, my name is Perry Koscheski. I'll be addressing a small group, a small audience of peers in the IT department, and we will be talking about routers and switches, the functions of routers and switches and how they operate, and the type of securities that should be set in place for the implementation of routers and switches. Routers are basically devices that will transfer information across networks, large networks for the most part, around the world or even nationwide, that will connect computers together and devices together. The IP addresses are forwarded to routers. At that point, they are directed to locations where they will be they are determined bound to go. So routers can be set to accept or reject IP addresses depending on how the routers are set up. Most routers are enabled to transfer information, for the most part, large distances. However, small home routers can be used to wirelessly transfer information from data brought in by, let's say for example, AT&T on a home network, or other providers that give cable service or internet services to a consumer. Switches, on the other hand, basically are used in a smaller environment, such as companies that want to enable printers, scanners, other hardware that they maybe want to use, dock stations, connect to mobile devices, and different areas like that in companies, whether they be small or large. So that's basically the difference between the two. However, it gets a little more complicated as we go. Security is a major importance in implementing routers and switches, and making sure that the personnel that's utilizing these devices and has access to these devices should be thoroughly checked. And in a lot of cases, security checks are very, very important for many companies because of vital information. For example, government employees, high-tech jobs, banking industry, things that have high security, and especially in high dollar amounts, money can be lost with companies that are at risk if certain things are not configured properly. So basically, routers can be large, depending on the side of the company, and they can be complicated in setting them up. In Cisco routing and switching implementation, which is what I will be speaking on later on in depth next week, we will show basically how to enable the routers and the switches in the networks, what passwords, basic passwords that will be used in enabling routers and switches, and servers will come apart later down the road, but we won't be concentrating on how servers operate, even though they are an important part of IT. There are other things to consider in routers and switches, making sure everything's implemented properly, making sure the devices are in the right hands of the people, everybody is trained properly. Also, another thing to be concerned about is security breaches, and what happens when security breaches do occur with companies, which have happened in the past, and it's of major concern nowadays because of hackers becoming smarter and are figuring more ways to hack into real high security areas. There have been many cases in the last several years where large companies have been hacked into, and customers that have had accounts, cards set up, tied into their bank account have been compromised. So therefore, many type of areas have to be in place and have to be considered. One thing that happened in an occurrence here in the past, a company called ASUS, they had some routers and switches that were supposedly going to be secure, software to be secure for home networks, and it was hacked into, and a lot of material was hacked into, and people's personal information was compromised. A company called ASUS, in an article in www.computerworld.com, an article by Grant gross in February of 2016. The title of the article was ASUS Settles Charges Over Insecure Networks on Cloud Services. People had thought that their servers and their cloud routers were secure, which they were not. In a quote by Jessica Rich, who is the director of the FTC of Basic Computer Protection Services, in 2016 quoted, "It's critical that companies like ASUS put reasonable security in place to protect consumers." So this is very, very important that the consumers, whether it be home computers or businesses, are to be fully protected in order for their security to be in place. Natural disasters such as fires, explosions, things of that nature should also be taken into effect. Preventative measures to make sure that companies are protected, the type of evacuations or the type of procedures that can be in place to protect, and making sure that all documents and all material, especially secure material, is updated on a regular basis. Thank you.